I want the board to know that George gave up his trip to Europe to help straighten things out here these past few months, and it was greatly appreciated. I think that's all we'll need for you, George. Good luck to you at school. I know you're anxious to make the train.
Yes, I have a taxi waiting downstairs.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to get to my real purpose. I claim this institution is not necessary to this town. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to dissolve the building and loan and turn its assets and liabilities over to the receiver.
It's too soon after Peter Bailey's death to discuss chloroforming the building and loan. It was his faith and devotion that are responsible for this organization.
I'll go further than that. I'll say that to the public, Peter Bailey was the building and loan.
Oh, that's fine, Potter, coming from you, considering that you probably drove him to his grave.
Peter Bailey was not a businessman. That's what killed him. Oh, I don't mean any disrespect to him, God rest his soul. He was a man of high ideals, so-called. But ideals without common sense can ruin this town. What does that get us? A discontented, lazy rabble instead of thrifty working class. And all because a few starry-eyed dreamers like Peter Bailey start them up and fill their heads with a bunch of impossible hooey. Now I say...
Now just a minute. Now hold on, Miss Potter. You're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. Why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building and loan, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character, because his whole life was... But why in the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this thing, he never once thought of himself. Isn't that right, Uncle Billy?
You got that right.
He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me. But he did help a few people get out of your slums, Miss Potter. And what's wrong with that? Why, here you're all businessmen here. Doesn't it make them better citizens? Doesn't it make them better customers? What did you say a minute ago? They had to wait and save their money before they even ought to think of a decent home? Wait for what? Until their children go up and leave them? Until they're so old and broken down that they... Do you know just how long it takes a working man to save $5,000? Just remember this, Miss Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to ask to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People are human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old woman, they're cattle. Well, in my book, he died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
I'm not interested in your book. I'm talking about the building and loan.
I know very well what you're talking about. You're talking about something you can't get your fingers on, and it's galling you. That's what you're talking about. Well, I've said too much. You're the board here. You do what you want with this thing. Just one more thing, though. One more thing. This town needs this measly one-horse institution, if only to have some place where people can come without calling the Potter. Come on, Uncle Billy.
Sentimental hogwash. I want my motion.
They're just coming out of his board meeting. I'll have to call you back. What happened, George? All we heard was a lot of yelling.
Boy, oh boy, Matilda, you should have heard George.
Yeah, they're voting us down in there.
George, you got to get out of here. You missed your boat trip. Do you want to miss college too? Don't worry about the board. They're going to be putting us out of business anyway. So what? I can get another job. I'm only 55.
You're 58.
George, they voted Power down. We're still in business.
Whoopee! We're still in business. We're still in business.
But there's one condition, George. They appointed you to take your father's place.
Appoint me? But I'm going to college. Uncle Billy here, he's your man.
You can keep him. That's all right.
Now let's get this thing straight. I'm leaving, and I'm leaving right now. I'm going to school. This is my last chance.
But George, you've got to take it. They'll vote with Potter otherwise.
So George Bailey didn't go to college.
That's right, Clarence. He gave his college money to his brother Harry, and Harry went instead.
But what happened to that good-looking girl? You know, Mary.
Oh, George saw her now and then. Not very often, though, because Mary went away to school, too. Anyway, George waited 4 years for Harry to come back and take over the building and loan. Then he could still see the world. He planned to work in the oil fields of Venezuela.
There she blows. Say, Uncle Billy, you know what the three most wonderful sounds on earth are?
Breakfast is served, lunch is served, dinner is served.
No. Anchor chains, plane motors, and train whistles. Hey, here's the professor now.
Well, if it isn't George Geographic Explorer Bailey. Uncle Billy, you haven't changed a bit.
Nobody ever changes around here. You know that.
Oh, my, glad to see you.
Say, where's Mother?
She's home cooking the fatted calf. Come on, let's go.
Oh, wait. This is Ruth Dakin.
That's Jasmine's part.
Okay. Billy?
Huh?
Well, I wired you I had a surprise. Here she is. Meet the wife.
Well, what do you know? Wife.
Well, how do you do? Hey, what am I doing? Congratulations, Harry. Why didn't you tell me somebody? What's a pretty girl like you marrying this two-headed brother of mine?
Oh, he gets you in a job? Harry's cuff runneth over. Come on, Ruth, let's start ahead and leave the bags for the fellas.
George, about that job. Ruth spoke out of turn. I never said I'd take it. You've been holding the bag here for 4 years, and, well, I won't let you down.
It's all right, Harry. It's all right.
And that night, the homecoming for Harry became his wedding party. Uncle Billy familiarized himself with the spirits.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I feel so good. I could spit in Potter's eye. I think I will. What do you say? Maybe I should go home. If you could just point me in the right direction.
Right down there, Uncle Billy.
That way, huh? Okay, old Billy and Loden, pal. See you later. I'm all right. I'm all right.
George?
Yeah, I'm out here on the porch, Mother. I just thought I would get some air.
Well, how do you like your new sister-in-law?
She's swell.
Looks like she'll keep Harry on his toes.
Yeah, and keep him out of Bedford Falls anyway.
George, do you know that Mary Hatch is back in town?
Yeah.
Nice girl, Mary.
Uh-huh.
Oh, stop grumbling. Give me one good reason why you shouldn't call on Mary.
Well, Sam Wainwright. Sam's crazy about her.
Well, she's not crazy about him.
Well, now, how do you know that? Did she discuss it with you?
Besides, Sam is away in New York and you're here in Bedford Falls.
And all's fair in love and war, huh?
Well, I don't know about war.
All right, Mother. I'll go out and find the girl and do a little passionate necking.
Oh, George.
Bye, Mrs. Bailey. By the way, do you want any books at the library?
The library? George, you go and see Mary. You hear?
Hello, George.
Hello, Mary. I just happened to be passing by.
Your mother just phoned in and said you were over to pay me a visit.
My mother just called you? Well, how did she know?
Well,
I didn't tell anybody. I just went for a walk and happened to be passing by. What do you... Went for a walk, that's all. When did you get back?
Tuesday. Would you like to come in?
Well, I guess since I'm here. Say, where'd you get that dress?
Do you like it?
It's all right. I thought you'd go back to New York with Sam and Francie and the rest of them.
Oh, I worked there a couple of vacations, but I don't know. I guess I was homesick.
Homesick for Bedford Falls?
Yes, and my family, and everything. Would you like to sit down?
All right, for a minute. I still can't understand it, though. You know, I didn't tell anyone I was coming here.
But would you rather leave?
No, I don't want to be rude.
It was nice about Harry and Ruth, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
Well, don't you like her?
Well, of course I like her. She's a peach.
Oh, it's just marriage in general you're not enthusiastic about, huh?
No, marriage is okay for Harry and Sam Wainwright and you.
Mary, who's that down there with you?
It's George Bailey, Mother.
George Bailey? What does he want?
I don't know. What do you want, George?
Me? Not a thing. I just came in to get warm.
He's making violent love to me, Mother.
Will you tell him to stop that right now? And don't you leave the house. Sam Wainwright promised to call later tonight, didn't he?
Your mother didn't... You know I didn't come here for...
Well, what did you come here for?
I don't know. You tell me. You're supposed to be the one who has all the answers. You tell me.
Oh, why don't you go home?
That's where I'm going. I don't know why I came here in the first place.
Mary, the phone. It's Sam.
I'll get it. Hee-haw. Hello, Sam. How are you?
Oh, great, G. It's good to hear your voice again.
Oh, well, that's awfully sweet of you, Sam. There's an old friend of yours here, George Bailey.
You mean old mossback George?
Yes, old mossback George.
Yeah, put him on.
Wait a minute. I'll go call him. George!
Hello, Sam.
Hey, a fine pal you are. What are you trying to do, steal my girl?
What do you mean? Nobody's trying to steal your girl.
No, wait a minute. I want to talk to both of you. Tell Mary to get on the extension.
Well, Mother's on the extension.
I am not.
Here, we can both hear you, George. Should put your head a little closer.
Okay.
There, that's better. We're listening, Sam.
I have a big deal coming up that's going to make all of us rich. George, you remember that night at Martini's bar when you told me about making plastics out of soybeans?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Soybeans, yeah.
Well, my father's checked into it. George, see? And now he's going to build a factory outside of Rochester. How do you like that?
Rochester? Well, why Rochester?
Well, why not? Can you think of anything better?
Oh, I don't know. Why not right here in Bedford Falls? You remember that old Tool and Machinery Works? You tell your father he can get that first song, and all the labor he wants too. Half the town was thrown out of work when they closed down.
That's so. Well, I'll tell him. Hey, that sounds great. Ooh, baby. I knew you'd come through. Now, here's the point, George. I may have a job for you. That is, unless you're still married to that old broken down building alone. Oh, Mary?
I'm here.
You tell that guy I'm giving him a chance of a lifetime. You hear?
Oh, he says it's the chance of a lifetime.
Give me that phone. Now you listen to me, Mary. I don't want any plastics and I don't want any job. I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do, and you're not going to. Oh, Mary.
George.
Oh, Mary. I love you.
George, I love you too.
George and Mary were married, and following the wedding and reception, George's old pal Ernie, the cab driver, drove the happy couple to the train station.
Hey, where are you two going on this year new honeymoon?
We're going to shoot the works, Ernie. A whole week in New York, a whole week in Bermuda, the highest hotels, the oldest champagne, the richest caviar, the hottest music, and the prettiest wife.
Here's the kitty, Ernie. $2,000. I feel like a bootlegger's wife.
So you're finally getting out of Bedford Falls, huh? Then what?
Then what, honey?
After that, who cares?
That does it. Hey, Mrs. Bailey, I haven't kissed you since.
Hey, George, there's something funny going on over there. Look over there at the bank. It looks like a run.
Huh? Pull over there a minute, will you, Ernie?
George, let's not stop. Please, let's just go straight to the station.
Now, wait a minute. I better see what it is. I'll be right back.
George, please! George!
What is this, Uncle Billy? A holiday? Why are the doors locked? There's a crowd out front.
This is a pickle, George.
All right, now, what happened?
All I know is the bank called our loan, and I had to hand out all our cash.
All of it?
Every last cent of it.
Holy mackerel.
And then I got scared, George, and I closed the doors.
Our charter says we need to stay open until 6 o'clock or we'll lose our license.
Bailey, brother, and
Get me, George.
George, it's Potter.
Hello.
George, there's a rumor around town that you've closed your doors. Is that true?
No, it isn't.
Do you need any police? Mobs get pretty ugly sometimes, you know.
We're fine.
We'll see. Now, George, I'm going all out to help you in this crisis. I've just guaranteed the bank sufficient funds to meet their needs. They'll close for a week and then reopen. I may lose a fortune, but I'm willing to guarantee your people too. Just tell them to bring their shares over here and I will pay 50 cents on the dollar.
You don't miss a trick, do you, Potter? Well, you're gonna miss this one.
If you close your doors before 6 p.m., you will never reopen.
She just took over the bank, Billy. Open the doors, let them in. Now just remember that this thing isn't as black as it appears, okay? I have some news for you folks. I've just talked to old lady Potter and she's guaranteed cash payments at the bank.
How about our money, George? Where's our money?
Now please, wait a minute. Listen to me. You're thinking of this place all wrong. The money's not here. Now wait a minute. Let me tell you. Your money's in people's houses. In that Kennedy house and in the McLaren house and in your house and 100 others. Now what are you going to do, foreclose on them?
I got $242 in here, and $242 isn't going to break anybody.
All right, Charlie, all right. Now you'll get your money in 60 days.
60 days?
Well, now that's what you agreed to when you bought your chairs.
Taking over the bank. He'll pay you 50 cents on every dollar.
Now, wait a minute. Please, folks, please don't leave. I beg of you not to do this. If Potter gets a hold of your shares, she'll be owning this building and loan. She's already got the bank, she's got the bus line, and she's got the department stores. And now she's after us because she wants to keep you living in her stacks and paying the rent she decides to charge. Now, we can get through this, all right? But we've got to stick together. We've got to have faith in each other.
My husband's out of work. We need money.
I got doctor bills to pay.
Can't feed my kids with faith.
Well, how much do you need? We've still got some money. We've got $2,000 from the wedding.
Hey, Mary, I got $2,000 here. This will tide us over until the bank reopens. All right, Charlie, how much do you need?
$242.
Ah, Charlie, just enough to tide you over until the bank reopens?
I'll take $242.
Okay, Uncle Billy. Give Charlie $242. Okay, all right, Ed, now how much just to get you by?
$20, I suppose.
Now we're talking. Now, Mrs. Thompson, how about you?
But it's your own money, George.
Never mind that. How much do you want, Mrs. Thompson?
Could I have $17.50?
Bless your heart. Of course you can have it. Uncle Billy, give her $17.50. Pay it back when you can. Now pay it back when you can. All right. Who's next?
Look at the clock. Look.
5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 6 o'clock. We made it. Lock that door, Uncle Billy. Boy, we're still in business, and we've even got $2 left.
Bailey, brothers, in just a minute, George. There's a call for you.
Look, will you get my wife on the phone? She's probably over at her mother's.
Mrs. Bailey is on the phone.
I don't want Mrs. Bailey. I want my wife. Oh, Mrs. Bailey. Oh, that's my wife. Mary? Hello. Listen to your. I'm sorry. What? Come home? What home? 320 Sycamore. Well, whose house is that? The Waldorf Hotel, huh?
That doesn't look like the Waldorf.
Oh no, number 320 Sycamore was the old Granville house, the one George and Mary threw rocks at and made wishes. Mary had prepared the house, including a turkey dinner, romantic decorations, and even a marriage bed.
Welcome home, Mr. Bailey.
Well, I'll be.
Remember the night we broke the windows in this old house? Well, this is what I wished for.
Darling, you're wonderful.
Yes, sir, that's where they spent their honeymoon. That's where they started their lives together. Mary made the leaky old house a home while George toiled away at the building and loan office, providing houses for people like Giuseppe Martini.
Hey, Martini, you renting a new house?
Ha! You hear that, Mr. Bailey? I own this house. Me, Giuseppe Martini. I own my own house. No more we live like pigs on Pottersfield.
We have something for you and your family, Miss Martini. George and I bring something for all the new owners.
Well, the Martinis? Mario, come quick. Our first housewarming gifts. Bring the kids.
Bread, so that this house may never know hunger. Salt, that life may always have flavor.
And wine, that joy and prosperity may reign forever. Enter the Martini Castle.
Bailey houses were popping up all over the place, mostly owned by people that used to live in Pottersfield. And Potter had just about had enough of that, so after a couple years, old woman Potter decided to call our George into her office.
Sit down, George, sit down. Have a cigar.
Thank you, ma'am. Quite a cigar, Miss Potter.
You like it? I'll send you a box.
Well, I suppose I'll find out sooner or later, but just what exactly did you want to see me about?
George, now that's just what I like so much about you. George, I'm an old woman. Most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so it makes it all even. You know, just as well as I do, that I run practically everything in this town, but the Bailey building and... Oh, I'm sorry, but my iPad just completely... I'm just going to start over on the line, okay? George, now it's just what I like so much about you. George, I'm an old woman, and most people hate me. I don't like them either, so it makes it all even. You know, just as well as I do, that I run practically everything in this town with the Bailey building and loan. You know also that for a number of years, I've been trying to get control of it, or kill it, but I haven't been able to do it. You've been stopping me. In fact, you've beaten me, George, and that takes some doing. Take during the Depression, for instance. You and I were the only ones who kept our heads. You saved the building and loan, and I saved all the rest.
Yes, well, most people say you stole all the rest.
The envious ones say that, George, the suckers. Now let's look at your side. Young man, 27, 28, married, say, making 40 a week.
45?
45.
45.
Now, if you were some ordinary yokel, I would say you're doing pretty fine. But George Bailey is an intelligent, ambitious man. He hates building and loan almost as much as I do. He's been dying to get out of town ever since he was born. A young man, the smartest one in the crowd, mind you, who has to sit by and watch his friends go places because he's trapped in a frittering his life away playing nursemaid to a lot of garlic eaters. Do I paint a correct picture, George, or do I exaggerate?
And what's your point, Miss Potter?
My point is, you're the only man in town who's licked me. I want to hire you. Manage my affairs. I'll start you out at $20,000 a year.
$20,000 a year?
You wouldn't mind living in the nicest house in town, buying your wife a lot of fine clothes, a couple of business trips to New York a year, maybe once in a while to Europe. You wouldn't mind that, would you, George?
Would I? And no, you're not talking to somebody else around here, are you? Are you sure you're talking to me? I'm George Bailey, don't you remember? The building and loan, remember?
Yes, George Bailey, whose ship has just come in, providing he has brains enough to climb aboard.
Well, what about the building and loan?
Oh, confound it, man. I'm offering you a 3-year contract at $20,000 a year. Is it a deal or isn't it?
Miss Potter, I know I had to jump at the chance, but I wonder if you might give me 24 hours to think about it.
Sure. Go home to your wife and talk about it.
Yeah, I'd like that.
In the meantime, I'll drop the papers, and soon you'll be managing my affairs.
Your affairs? Now hold up. The answer's no, doggone it. You sit around here and you spin your little webs, and you think the whole world revolves around you and your money. Well, it doesn't, Miss Potter. In the whole vast configuration of things, I'd say you were nothing but a scurvy little spider.
Now, what did Miss Potter want, George?
Nothing. Just talk, nothing. Oh, gee, Mary. Why in the world would you ever want to marry a guy like me?
To keep from being an old maid.
I was going to see the world. I was going to build things. I was going to give you the moon. What have I given you? What have I given you? Not even a dress. Not for months. You could have married Sam Wainwright. Anybody else in town.
But I didn't want to marry anybody else in town.
You didn't even have a honeymoon. I promised you... You what?
My baby.
You mean, Mary, you're on the nest?
George Bailey Lasso Stork.
Well, Mary had her baby, a boy.
You don't say.
Then she had a girl.
Well, what do you know?
Night after night, George would come home late from the office. Things weren't going good with the building and loan. Potter was really bearing down hard. Then came the war. Mary had another baby by then, but still had time to run the USO. Gower and Uncle Billy sold war bonds. Violet entertained the troops. Bert the cop was wounded in North Africa, got the Silver Star. Ernie the taxi driver parachuted into France. Harry Bailey topped them all. A Navy flyer, he shot down 15 planes, 2 of them as they were about to crash into a transport full of soldiers.
Yes, but George, what about George?
George, 4F on account of his ear, George fought the Battle of Bedford Falls. Air raid warden, paper drives, scrap drives, rubber drives. On VE Day, he wept and prayed. On VJ Day, he wept and prayed again.
We're getting pretty close to today, aren't we, sir?
Yes, Clarence. You know now almost everything you have to know about George Bailey, except what happens that finds him down there at this moment, wanting to die.
Well, sir, well?
Well, today's the day before Christmas, and Billy is at the bank to make a deposit when he ran into old Lady Potter.
Well, Mrs. Henrietta Potter, come to the bank to deposit some more loot, huh?
Sure, you old fool.
How do you like the news in the paper, Mrs. Potter? Harry Bailey wins Congressional Medal of Honor. Just can't keep those Bailey boys now, can you?
Let me see that newspaper.
Here you go. Sorry, I can't chat, you old thief. I gotta make a deposit.
Hello, Mr. Bailey. Have you come to make a deposit?
Good morning, Horace. Here you are. Deposit slip, bank book, and a very Merry Christmas to you.
Well, you want to make a deposit, right?
What's that?
You want to make a deposit?
Well, certainly.
Well, it's customary to bring the money with you.
It's gone. Where'd I put it? Where'd I put the money?
A terrible thing, Clarence, terrible. Uncle Billy couldn't find the money because the envelope with the $8,000 was folded up in that newspaper he gave to old woman Potter. At the same time as Billy started looking for the deposit, Violet came to visit George at the building and loan.
Oh, hello, Vi.
Suppose you're getting things set back at the house for the party tonight.
You know you're invited, right? What's wrong?
You see right through me, don't you?
How much do you need?
I hate doing this to you, George, but I won't be asking for any more after this.
You planning on robbing a bank, Vi?
I'm going to Manhattan.
What's in Manhattan?
Why, everything's in Manhattan. A new start, at least.
That's a big step, Vi. What's the matter with starting a new life right here in Bedford Falls?
Well, I'll be. Never thought I'd hear that from you, George Bailey. I thought you hated this place.
I did, but this town has a charm of its own.
You should give tours, maybe.
I'm just thinking of you, Violet. Manhattan's a big place to take out on your own.
I've made a decision. There's a midnight train tonight, and I plan to be on it.
It takes a lot of character to leave your hometown and start all over again. Now, here's some dough.
No, George, don't.
What do you want to do? Hawk your furs in that hat? Want to walk up to New York? You know they charge for meals like they do here in Bedford Falls, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's a loan. That's my business. Building loan. Besides, you'll get a job. Good luck to you.
I'm glad I know you, George Bailey.
Say hello to New York for me.
Merry Christmas, George.
George.
What's going on? The bank examiner's coming today and
Today?
Yeah, once the account's payable. What's the matter with you?
The money, the 8,000,
What, Uncle Billy? What happened to it?
I don't know. I was going to deposit it, and then when I went to the bank, I didn't have it.
$8,000, Uncle Billy. The bank examiner's in town, and it's not our money. It belongs to the depositors.
I'm so sorry, George. I just don't know what happened.
Well, the first place you look is in your coat pocket. I told you to put it there when you left.
Oh, I'm no good to you, George. I'm no good.
Let's go, then. We have to retrace our steps. We'll leave no stone unturned.
And as George and Billy went looking for the deposit, Potter had a meeting with the state bank examiner, a Miss Sadie Vance.
The whole town's turned upside down with the Bailey's boys' homecoming, congressional medal and all.
I guess they do things like that.
May I look at your paper?
Go ahead.
This is a deposit from the Bailey.
That old fool Billy Bailey gave me that newspaper.
Well, you're going to deposit it for him, right?
To think he would make such a foolish mistake. Look how much it is.
There's $8,000 here.
What a Christmas present, and he doesn't even know it.
Just wait a minute here, Potter. I know you've been giving Bailey's a hard time, far back as I can remember. Why?
I don't have to give answers to you. You're just a state examiner.
Yes, I am. But I'm unimpressed by your buying off of everyone in town. Oh, that's it. You could never buy the Baileys.
What?
You heard what I said. The Baileys have always stood for something you always wanted and are so jealous of. They're honest.
You're fired.
You can't get me fired. I'm state appointed. And what more? I'm not going to turn my back. This is stealing from the Baileys. Something like this would certainly cause them to fold.
Yes, and after 25 years, finders keepers, you know that. He gave me that money. It was his own fault. Besides, there's not a court in the country that would find me guilty.
And we all know why.
How's your family, Sadie?
My family?
I know how little state positions pay. What would you say to a little Christmas bonus?
I want no part of this.
That's not what I've heard.
What are you insinuating, Potter?
I will not be turned down.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to pay the Baileys a surprise visit. You'll see the records. They'll be short. You know the rest. At last, the Baileys will be where they belong, down for good.
I know just what to do.
And did you put that envelope in your pocket?
Yeah, maybe.
Uncle Billy, we've got to find that money.
I'm no good to you, George.
Now, do you have any secret hiding places in the house?
I've gone over the whole house, even the rooms that have been locked up since I lost your Aunt Laura.
Listen to me. Think.
I can't think anymore, George. It hurts.
Where's that money, you stupid, silly old fool? Do you realize what this means? It means bankruptcy and scandal and prison. One of us is going to jail, and well, it's not going to be me.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Daddy.
Daddy, did you bring the wreath?
What wreath?
The Merry Christmas wreath for the window.
I left it at the office.
Is it snowing now?
Yeah, it just started.
No, where's your coat and hat?
I left them at the office too.
What's the matter?
Nothing's the matter. Everything's all right.
Isn't it wonderful about Harry? We're famous, George. I'll bet I had 50 calls today about the parade, the banquet. Your mother's so excited.
Must she keep playing that?
I have to practice for the party tonight, Daddy.
Mommy says we can stay up until midnight and sing Christmas carols.
Can you sing, Daddy?
Better hurry and shave, George. The families will be here soon.
Families? I don't want the families over here.
Excuse me.
Did you have a hectic day?
Yeah, another big red letter day for the Baileys.
Daddy, the Browns next door have a new car. You should see it.
Well, what's the matter with our car? Isn't it good enough for you?
Yes, Daddy.
Excuse me.
Excuse you for what?
I burped.
All right, darling. You're excused. Now go upstairs and see what little Zuzu wants.
What's the matter with Zuzu?
Oh, she caught a cold. Got it coming home from school. They gave her a flower for a prize and she didn't want to crush it, so she didn't button up her coat.
What is it, a sore throat?
The doctor says it's nothing serious.
Was the doctor here?
I called him right away.
Is she running a temperature?
Just a teensy one.
Gosh, it's this old house. I don't know why you don't all have pneumonia already. This drafty old barn. Might as well be living in a refrigerator. Why do we have to live here in the first place and stay around this measly, crummy old town?
George was wrong.
Wrong? Everything's wrong. You call this a happy family? Why do we even have kids in the first place?
Daddy, how do you spell frankincense?
I don't know. Ask your mother.
Where are you going?
To see Zuzu.
Hi, Daddy.
Well, what happened to you?
I want a flower.
Now, where do you think you're going?
I want to give my flower a drink.
Here, give Daddy the flower. I'll give it a drink.
Look, Daddy, some of the petals came off. Paste it.
Yeah, all right. Now I'll paste this together. There it is, good as new.
Give the flower a drink.
Now will you do something for me?
What?
Will you try to get some sleep?
I'm not sleepy. I want to look at my flower.
I know, but you just go to sleep, and then you can dream about it, and it'll be a whole garden.
It will?
Uh-huh.
Telephone.
I'll get it. Hello. Yes, this is Mrs. Bailey. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Welch. The doctor says she'll be out of bed in time for her Christmas dinner.
Is that Zuzu's teacher?
Yes.
Let me speak to her. Hello, Mrs. Welch, this is George Bailey. Say, what kind of teacher are you anyway? What do you mean sending her home like that, half naked?
George!
Is this the sort of thing we pay our taxes for? To have teachers like you? Silly, stupid, careless people who send our kids home without any clothes on? Oh, that's stupid.
Oh, Mrs. Welch, I want to apologize. Hello? Hello? She hung up.
I'll hang her up.
Now, who do you think you are?
Now, wait a minute. Hello? Who is this? Oh, Mr. Welch. Okay, that's fine, Mr. Welch. Give me a chance to tell you what I really think of your wife.
George.
Will you get out and let me handle this? Hello? Oh, you will, huh? Okay, Mr. Welch. Anytime you think you're man enough. Hello?
Daddy, how do you spell hallelujah?
What do you think I am, a dictionary? Janie, haven't you learned that silly little tune yet? You played it over and over again. Now stop it. Stop it.
George, what are you doing?
I'm sorry, Mary. Janie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... You go on and practice, Pete. I owe you an apology, too. I'm sorry. What did you want to know?
Nothing, Daddy.
What's the matter with everybody? Janie, go on. I told you to practice. Now go on and play.
Oh, Daddy.
George, why must you torture the children?
Mary...
Where's Daddy going?
Bedford, 247, please.
Is Daddy in trouble?
Yes, Pete.
Shall I pray for him?
Yes, Janie. Pray very hard.
Me too.
You too, Tommy. Hello, Uncle Billy?
So that's it, George. You're short $8,000 in the books, eh?
Oh, please, Miss Potter. I'll pay any sort of interest if you still want the building and loan.
You say it was lost. Did you notify the police?
No, ma'am. I haven't done that yet. Harry's homecoming's tomorrow.
Why'd you come to me? What about your good friend Sam Wainwright?
I can't get a hold of him. He's in Europe.
What kind of security would I have, George? What collateral?
I have some life insurance, a $15,000 policy.
How much is your equity in it?
$500.
And you want $8,000? Look at you. You used to be so cocky. You were going to go out and conquer the world. You once called me a warped, frustrated old woman. What are you but a warped, frustrated young man? Crawling in here on your hands and knees for help. No securities, no stocks, no bonds. You're worth more dead than you are alive. Why don't you go to that riffraff you love so much and ask them for help?
I'll do anything, Miss Potter. Please, please help me, my wife and my kids.
You know what I'm going to do for you? As a stockholder of the building and loan, I'm calling the state examiner to get a warrant out for your arrest. Misappropriation of funds, manipulation, malfeasance.
Miss Potter, please, you can't. They can't arrest me.
Go on and you can't hide in a little town like this. Merry Christmas, George.
Merry Christmas. Glad you come.
I'm pretty sure we're done, Vanessa. We were going to stop after that page.
Nobody let me know that.